Hello, and my name is Monica Price, and welcome to tonight's show. I am delighted to say that I've got somebody who is a former Earth, Wind and Fire member. He's also a multi-instrumentalist, a composer, a singer. Please welcome, I'm afraid it's not in the studio, but this is the best we can do today. It's Morris Pleasure, affectionately known as Mo. Hi Mo, how are you?
I'm very well, Monica. How are you today?
Oh, it's so lovely to see you again. Apologies for us not being in the studio. This horrible COVID is still getting the best of us at the moment.
It is for the moment, but let's hope that it's very soon that we actually will be able to do that. And Happy New
Absolutely.
Year to you,
Yes,
by the way.
Happy New Year to you too. Happy New Year. I mean, what a year it's been. This one's going to be amazing. I've decided that this one is we're just going to focus on all the positive things that we can do this year. And Mo, it sounds like it's going to be an amazing year for you. I mean, with all what you're going to be doing, which is, what we're going to be talking about. But Mo, I've got to ask you, Earth, Wind and Fire, one of my favourites. Tell us a little bit about that. How did you come to be involved with them? Because didn't you play bass first of all with Ray Charles?
I did. I started in 1986. That was my first touring gig, and I was, basically a kid, in my early 20s. Earth, Wind and Fire came a bit later. I got in Earth, Wind and Fire in 1993, and there's quite a story kind of to that process. But I was living in LA, as we do, and I was starting to get my name known in that town, mostly by a guy named George Duke, who is one of the quintessential, rest in peace, keyboardists and vocalists and producers, to where it was George Duke's word was really very important. So people would, if they needed someone for their gigs, no matter what they were, if George recommended you, you were in. So I actually had kind of an easy time getting in because George had recommended me to Philip Bailey, who is the lead singer still. And Philip came over to my house, and I was starstruck. I'm trying to tell you, Monica, I was like a 12-year-old girl, like that kind
wow.
of
Yeah.
Because when I was a kid, I used to go to their shows, in Connecticut where I grew up. And Philip came over, and we talked. And at this time, Earth, Wind and Fire had not reformed. They had actually been on a hiatus for several years. It was actually debatable whether they would actually even tour again. But Philip and I created we actually got together to do some writing together. It wasn't about Earth, Wind and Fire. And I just hit it right. In 1993, they got back together again, and Philip remembered me and told Maurice White, the great Maurice White, about me. And, George Duke had recommended me along with a couple of other people, and I was in. Our first show was called the Arsenio Hall Show in 1993, which was a huge show at the time. And then in '94, we went out, we toured, and later on in '94, they made me the musical director. So I stayed there till 2001.
And you must have such incredible memories, Mo, of all of that.
Yeah.
And as you say, I've been to America. I've been very lucky to go to America with my work quite a few times, and it's a wonderful place to be for music and for musicians. And particularly in LA, of course. It's very, as you say, it's a very supportive network. Sometimes it's not what it's who you know in Los Angeles, isn't
Absolutely.
it?
Yeah. Yes, very much so. Very much so, yes.
So it's great. So we're not in Los Angeles today, unfortunately. Where are you today? Tell us where you are.
At the moment, I'm in Aberystwyth, Wales, which is way on the west, beautiful place on the west coast of Wales. But my home is London right now. I live in London.
Yeah,
and
so
that's been great. I've been here about 5 years.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. And as I say, do you like living here, Mo? Is this your home now?
It really is, and my girlfriend and I were expecting a baby this year in April.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you so much. And she's from here. She's from Wales. So yeah, it's very exciting to me.
What a wonderful start to your year.
I'm telling you, you can't beat it. We just get rid of this COVID business.
Just get rid of that COVID, and you're on my show. This is all good things. We're having a good year so far. What can we say? But now tell us about. Now you've obviously been gigging. Now, what have you been doing during the lockdown? You've done a couple of kind of streaming concerts, haven't you?
Yes. Actually, my girlfriend Kedma, who is a fine singer in her own right, which you will see later.
Yes, we're gonna be talking to her later.
Yes. So now Zoomland, as we are right now, it was kind of created, and so we do a lot of concerts online. Facebook, Zoom, such. We do a lot of corporate concerts as well. People hire us for their Zoom parties and this kind of stuff. I have also been doing a lot of. We just did a gig at the 606 Club with my full band, and
Wow.
that was great. Even though we were played for an empty house, it was actually the day, I think it was the 19th, the day that Prime Minister Boris told everyone that they were going into lockdown again,
Oh,
and that night we actually had sold out the place as much as socially
yeah,
distanced sold out,
yeah.
but we couldn't have any people in the audience, so we played to nobody,
Oh,
but it was streamed, and it was wonderful because we hadn't played together in so long. And my guys are the best in London, and Luke Smith and Michael Brown and Jamie Michael Harris, and we just had a great time. Kevin was on the gig as well,
yeah,
um, and we killed it. Josh McKenzie's my drummer; he's very well known in
yeah.
town. So it was like a family reunion, and we didn't mind that there was nobody in the audience because we just had so much fun on stage.
I was going to say,
So I've
it's
been doing
nice just
that.
to be together. Just nice just to all get
Oh,
together.
amazing! And
Yeah,
I think something. It might be me, Monica, but I feel like we really appreciate now what we do, and we appreciate those moments of being able to play, live and be together and do live music more because of what's happened.
yeah.
So
I think
it
it's
was.
changed people's perspective, and music is I mean, music is got incredible power. It's I think it's the one thing that's actually got many people through the lockdown, and we continually be into it, unfortunately. But I think it's something about it. It doesn't matter what genre, it doesn't matter what you like. There's always been the power of music, and you've worked with
Absolutely.
some great bands and some great people, musical artists. You've worked with the likes of Michael Jackson, Janet
Yes.
Jackson. There's some really good artists there. But is there one particular artist, Mo, that you've always wanted to work with, but you haven't actually got the opportunity perhaps to work with?
Well, I have never toured with Sting or Stevie Wonder.
Oh
I've
yeah,
managed to play gigs with them, two, three, four gigs at a time, kind of thing. But I would have loved to have like been, Sting's keyboard player, or also Peter Gabriel. Since I've been here again, I kind of remember how much I loved Peter Gabriel. And
yeah,
there's a lot of others too. I mean, I really am. A lot of people put me in kind of category, but I musical category, mostly R&B, jazz kind of thing. But I do a lot of rock and roll stuff as well, and I did play classically. I actually did last year did a full orchestra concert where I was featured playing Rhapsody in Blue on piano, and we did a bunch of Earth, Wind and Fire, Michael Jackson songs at the Royal Northern College of Music in Manchester, with
oh
great
great,
musicians up there. Those kids are unbelievable.
yeah,
So there's a lot of things I'd like to do. I would actually love to tour playing Rhapsody in Blue with
yes.
orchestra. That's something.
Oh,
I'm,
with an orchestra. Oh, I could see you with an
yeah,
orchestra, Mo. That is funny
yeah.
because quite a
Oh,
lot of artists are doing that. They're hooking up with,
yeah.
big orchestras, philharmonic
So good.
orchestras, and creating some incredible albums. Neil Diamond, of course, as
Yeah.
his latest album, he did that, and I think actually didn't Sting do that? Hasn't Sting done
Sting
an
did do
album?
that. He did
Yeah,
tour that way as well.
yeah.
Yes,
So, all we could see, all you
love
could
it.
do, well, you heard it here first. That could be your next project.
Oh, please make it so. Please
That's
make
all.
it
Wouldn't that
so.
be lovely? I'll be there. Remember me?
Absolutely, you're gonna
I'll
have
be
free
there.
tickets, Monica. My
But
pleasure.
do you miss the touring aspect? You must miss the audiences and just all the elements that come with touring.
I do. I do. My last tour was Bette Midler. I was her
Yeah,
music director back in 2015.
yeah,
And hopefully she does like a little farewell tour or something once we're over COVID and all that. But I absolutely do miss it. I think I have ever since I was a kid, I've been traveling. So my parents really knew the value of that. And I had seen all 50 of the 50 states by the time I was, 18 or 19 years old. And since then, I've been over 35 years of touring, and millions and millions of miles on. I'm a million miler on a couple of airlines as well, and
yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
I recommend it for anybody that can, even if it's just out of your neighborhood, to get out, and it gives you a perspective of how other people do things in the world, and I just
Yeah.
absolutely love it.
And what's going on in the world? And you say, I was going to ask you actually, because as you said, you were musical director, weren't you, with Bette Midler? And
Yes,
I
yes,
saw that concert actually. I went to that concert in London,
great,
and
great.
incredible. Again, that
Thank
must
you.
have it must be so wonderful for you to work with people that not only like-minded like yourself, Mo, but have such an appreciation for music. But I mean, Bette Midler is such a hard-working artist.
Wow.
She puts when she puts her mind to something, not only films, of course, but
Wow.
musically, and her stage show was incredible.
Really, yeah, and I'm so proud of that show because when we
Yeah,
literally put it together from, just an idea that she had, Divine Intervention was the name of the
yeah,
tour.
that's it. Yeah.
tour. And, I we put the whole band together piece by piece and did all the auditions. And, she was at every audition. She picked out all of the, costumes and knew all the lighting and the jokes and, brought in the best people in the world to do the production. And it was just, it was just the very top. I absolutely love Beth. She's kind of like my aunt in a certain way.
Yeah, she's one of mine. There's something about her. I just think she's one of these hard working women that just, continue to produce, whether it be musically or, artistically when she's in films.
Yes.
She's always on her A game. So, she does. So that must have been wonderful for you. But Mo, you've been doing lots of other things, haven't you? So
Yes.
now tell us about, you've got involved with Creative Aid, the Creative Aid campaign. So I want to
Yes.
talk to you about that. And then from that, I think, has this new single that you've called "We Are One," has that come from this campaign? Are the two kind of together?
Absolutely, yes.
Right. So
We are one.
tell us about the Creative Aid campaign.
I'm so excited, Monica. We're it's actually what we've been talking about today, and
Yeah,
that is the hardship of creatives during this time, especially in this time of COVID. I mean,
yeah.
it's hard enough usually, just on the day to day
Mm.
for musicians, actors, people of visual art, and all the crew members and the people that go with. Any kind of show. The West End now is closed, which is just
Oh,
unbelievable.
it's tragic.
For the most
Yeah,
part.
it is.
It's just
Yeah.
unbelievable. Broadway and all that kind of stuff. Everything from that to the pubs and on. So we're all having a really tough time getting through this because there's absolutely no work.
Mm.
So that what goes with that is mental wellness problems as well.
Yes.
People are giving up. There's a lot of depression.
Mm.
People don't have any money, can't eat. They're feeling like they're not feeling their self-worth. So creative aid is really about that.
Mm.
It's a very important thing for me. I actually work with a charity here called the Haven London.
Mm. Yes, I've heard of that
And
charity actually. Yeah, you're an
yes,
ambassador for that charity, aren't
I
you,
am an
Mo?
ambassador and I'm
Yeah.
very, very proud of it. We've done
Yeah.
a bunch of concerts and raised money, and we've actually helped quite a lot of creatives. Reverend Peterson Fitel, who's just an incredible man from Brazil, is behind. It's his brainchild, and I've been with him pretty much from the beginning, about 5 years ago. And at this time, I mean, there's suicide helplines. There's counselors from Harley Street that are there to help. The very best counselors. There's creative safe spaces such as St. Pancras Church right there near the train station,
Yeah.
where we're having all kinds of workshops and things. And it hasn't stopped, even in this COVID age. A lot of things we do on Zoom as well.
Yeah.
So "We Are One" is now this song that I've written. I actually co-wrote it with my ex wife Lori Harris,
Mhm.
and we've gotten a bunch of great artists on there.
Yes, I've heard. So tell us about them. Who's involved?
Yes, well, Joss Stone to start
Yeah.
off is involved. She's
Great.
on the song, and we're doing a song and a video. We've got great Peter Andre, who I
Yeah.
just cannot say enough about.
Yeah. Oh, he's
He's
lovely. Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
lovely. He's lovely, and also Kimberly Davis, lead singer
Yeah.
from Chic. If you ever go see
Very good.
Mel,
Yes, I do. Yes.
yes, she's probably one of the most incredible singers I have worked with.
Yeah.
Kim, Alita Adams, Get Here from back in the States.
Yeah.
Michael McDonald, who
Oh,
is just
yeah.
just
Love
amazing.
his songs. Yeah.
Yes, Peebo Bryson from back in the day. If you remember,
Yeah.
Peebo is on it, and it's
Yeah.
like like a We Are the
You've got a
World.
real mixture going on there, Mo.
Yes, and I can't even talk about it because there's a few more coming that aren't on the song yet, but we've they're in their studios recording because we had to do it all remotely, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you that. So the song, and we're fortunate enough, you're going to give me an exclusive, actually, aren't you? At the end, you're going to actually
Yes,
performing some of
we'll
this
do
with
a
people.
little
I'm
bit
so
of it.
excited about that, and we'll look forward to that. So is it a collaboration of all the stars? And I was going to ask you, are people doing this remotely, and then you're just sending all their vocals to one, central point, and then you're putting it all together?
Exactly that, Monica. I'm actually, they're sending them to me. I'm doing the
Yeah.
whole thing, except
Okay.
I'm not doing the video, but I am.
Yeah.
I produced the song and I've written the song, and everybody's been just so gracious to give up their time and their talents, and so like a lot of the videos are done on, of course, phones and things like that. So it's a very
Yes.
kind of lo-fi thing, but you're gonna see, as well as all those artists, we have a choir, a virtual
Oh,
choir
wow.
that Kedma put together of the top singers in London. About 12 of them,
Yeah.
and it's amazing. I mean, you have a vision for these things, and you do what you can to give everybody kind of the idea of what they should be singing. Harmonies and all that kind of thing. It's hard to do through virtually.
It
And then
is.
you get all of everybody's tracks back, and you put them all together, and all of a sudden there's this huge sound, that's with everybody just doing the right phrasing and cutoffs and in tune and all this kind of thing. So it's just been a real thrill for me.
Oh, it sounds incredible. And you say sometimes it's like we're doing today. You kind of miss that atmosphere, don't you? When you're all
Yes,
together, that kind of builds up the momentum for a song, especially when you're trying to put a song together. But it sounds incredible, though, Mo, that all these people have just given their time, as you said, all free for
yes,
something really that's so important. I mean, the music industry and the venues, theatres, music venues, music studios, they've all
need
been
it
really, really hit by the pandemic, and across the world, actually, not just in
across the
the
world.
UK.
Yes,
And anything you can do is going to help. And obviously, this is going to be, you're here in London now, of course, but it will be international. Creative Aid itself as a campaign, is that going to be international, Mo, or is it something you're going to keep to the UK for the time being, or how is it going to work?
absolutely international, Monica,
Oh,
worldwide,
I love it.
and there will be several releases. The
Yeah,
first one's going to be in the UK, which is I'm really excited about, and we're going to do, we plan on doing a streaming concert that's from a location in London to start.
wonderful. That's
Um,
brilliant.
our release date is March 16th at this
Right.
time.
So fingers crossed we can, keep that there for March 16th. So when you do the single, so tell us about the actual campaign, Mo. What do you hope to gain from this campaign? Obviously, it's going to be helping creatives. You've spoken about mental health. That's going to be crucial, I think, during this year. Actually, I think it's going to be one of the main problems that we're going to have with everybody across the board. Doesn't matter whether you're young or old, and it's something that we all need to be really aware of, with their friends. Perhaps if you haven't heard from a friend for a while, I always like to think, you can reach out to people, and it sounds like the Creative Aid has been created for that. So give somebody somewhere to go, a place for support, a place for help. And as you say, you've tied up with The Haven, which is a charity I know of in London. So, but what are your hopes and aspirations for it, Mo?
Well, I see it as a world movement, and even those that don't necessarily even know what the charity aspect is exactly,
Yeah,
it's just the time in the United States and the UK, from everything that I'm seeing, where we need to unify. There's been so much divisiveness, and people taking their own sides on
yeah,
everything, and coming at the first approach at someone is something that's negative as opposed to positive. And
yeah,
what I as we talked about my travels, I feel like we are so much more alike than we realize,
yeah,
all over the world. And this
absolutely.
song is really kind of about that. It's actually kind of a children's song. People tell me that a lot of people that recorded on it told me, like, oh, I couldn't get that song
Yeah,
out, because it's an earworm. You
yeah,
can have it on by. It's very simple lyrics, but basically it is about us all coming together and putting aside all this other stuff that really is not important,
no,
because we need it now, more than ever.
yes. Yeah, and as you say, because it's brand new, it's evolving at the moment. So, are you finding that people are reaching out to you now, Mo, and wanting to be involved and
Yes.
finding out exactly how they can be involved?
Yes. Yeah, it's amazing. A matter of fact, I want to blurt out some of the other artists that are
Yeah,
coming,
please do.
but I'm gonna wait until it's actually done. You know how that stuff
Yeah.
is.
Well, what we'll have
I
to
don't want to
do,
speak
we'll
for
have
other
to
people.
wait. We'll have to kind of wait until you've got it all sort of in the can, so to speak, and
Yes,
then
yes.
it would be wonderful for you to come back on the show.
Oh, please,
And
yes,
when it's released, so March, if that's going to be the day,
yes.
be wonderful to have you back on the show, and then you can tell us about it. And obviously there'll be the launch, and more people will be involved. But why do you think it's so important, Mo? Why have you done it now? What's the reason behind it for you personally?
I'm from the United States, and we just seen so much. I've seen things that I can't even believe have happened in the United States. I never thought, and I've lived all over. I've lived in Los Angeles, New York, and I've lived down in Atlanta. So I've done the South, the West, and I've toured all those places in the United States, and it just shows you what can happen when there's something, when people are not understanding each other, when they're not listening to each other. And I just kind of felt like, well, it's time. Music, as you said, is a great vehicle
It is.
for healing as well as for communication. So, I mean, I know I can, if I walk up to anybody on the street anywhere in the world, I can find something in common with that person.
Yeah, it's all
So
about
I think
it's all about taking the time, really, Mo, isn't it?
it
It's
is.
about meeting people and being kind.
Being
I think
kind.
we most people are kind, but we've forgotten how to be kind to people and just
Oh,
reach out to them and just say hello and perhaps offer some
yes.
help if they need it, or perhaps get their groceries if they need it. Especially
Yeah.
at the moment because so many people are in lockdown, and it must be. And what about your family back in America? Mo? Because obviously the pandemic is really raging through America as well. Are they all safe and well at the moment?
For the most part, thank you, Monica. My sister actually went through it pretty badly.
Oh
We were
no, I'm
pretty
so
worried
sorry.
about losing her. She's younger than me. My mother, thank God, is all right for the moment. She's in Louisiana and she's almost 90 years old.
Yeah,
Um, and I have my dad is doing well, and my other sisters are well. My brother's well, and his family and all that. I've been
that's
very
good.
fortunate. Kedma actually, her uncle here in Wales got
Yeah,
it really, really bad, and we really almost lost them.
really.
So it
It's it,
touches
it,
me when I
it
get on.
does.
It's amazing when I get online. I was on Facebook yesterday, and I hadn't been on in a while, and I'm flipping through, and it's my mother died, my father died, my grandfather, this kind of thing, and it's just you know
I think if we've learnt one thing from this year, we have to embrace life. We
me
have to
too.
take every opportunity that we can because, we're human beings and we just feel that, we can do everything we want when we want, but actually somebody may have a different a different way for us. And so we must embrace life and just do the things that make us happy. And,
Yeah.
for you doing something like this, and obviously what your hope is, Mo, is to go, worldwide, to get international status. And then what will you do? Build a charity that funds and obviously supports creatives, really. So
Absolutely.
not just musicians. Are we talking
Not
artists as
just
well?
musicians. I
Just
mean, I am kind.
creative. All the back staff as well, all the people that are there for the concerts that we don't
Yes.
often see and don't talk about, but are crucial and in fact a very integral part of any kind of concert at all.
Yes, and there's so many. I mean, truck drivers,
Yeah,
that drive the equipment
yeah,
to the. It's on and on. No, I would love to be able to help all those people
yeah,
because to me they're all part of the music family.
yeah,
Um, as far as other creatives, I know nothing about visual art. I don't really know much about acting and this kind of stuff. But we're all connected in this. We're all trying to literally create something that's positive and beautiful in a world that sometimes is full of chaos.
yeah.
So
And
yeah,
how
I'd love
do
to
you
help all those people.
And how do you feel, Mo? Because obviously you've been in the music industry for many years, and you must have seen so many changes. I mean, Earth, Wind and Fire when were at the top of its game. You were one of the bands that everybody used to know and still knows. You're still the band that comes up. How do you feel that the music industry has changed now from kind of when you started to where you are now?
Oh, it's I do a lot of Monica. I do a lot of master classes at
Yeah,
these various music schools here in the UK, and it's so much harder for them than it was for us.
mm,
Because first of all, now there's a lot more people involved.
yeah,
There's a lot of people that are in the music business that shouldn't be in the music business. That
yeah,
may even have a little bit more success than those that are really talented. So you have to fight harder. Certainly, wages are a lot lower than they were. You know,
Yeah.
I'm glad to have lived through a time when it was like it was really celebrated, and
Yeah.
musicians were given what they were worth to go on the
And you,
road and leave
and you
their
used to
families.
make money. You know, your records
Yeah.
used to make records, used to make
Yes,
vinyl, and they used to make money.
yes,
It's interesting you say, you know, it's harder now. You think, you know, we've got social media, all the streaming
yeah,
outlets, but we're just awash now with music. And my worry is, how are these artists getting paid? You know, most musicians now are giving their work, their art for free, and there's no other industry that does that. You know, if you
I
do a
know.
service, you get paid, but people, they expect it sometimes, and that's my worry, that the streaming will take over to such a degree that, you know, artists are just not making the monies. Even the top artists, you know, that are around at the moment, like Ed
True.
Sheeran's and people like that, you know, they earn pennies, but obviously they sell lots and lots of records so that it accumulates. But even so, when in, you know, back in the day where they used to have, you used to get your money, you knew where your money was coming from. I think that's what it is, isn't it, Mo? We don't actually know where the money's coming from at the moment.
Absolutely, Monica. We're in a digital age. Back then, it
Mm.
was tangible. You know,
Yeah,
my first, I worked with this guy named Najee, and we sold, we got a gold album. You know, so that
yeah,
meant 500,000. You
yeah,
know, copies that you can hold in your hand actually sold. They were worth this amount.
yeah.
Therefore, you
I
know,
love it. But
yeah,
isn't it funny though, Mo? Because vinyl, I've got one of the Earth, Wind and Fire vinyls because I love
yeah.
vinyl, you know, and I think that, you know, but vinyls have been slowly kind of making a comeback, haven't they?
Yes, they have. Yes, they have. I
Which is
mean,
really interesting because I think people want
yes,
that physical. I mean, for
yes,
me, there's nothing better than getting you know, the vinyl out and
right.
putting it on the deck and listening. Yes, it's going to might have a few scratches and be a bit crackly, but I don't know what it is, but there's something very magical about that.
Oh, absolutely. And it's, that sound is just, it's so reminiscent, especially for people like us that kind of went through
Yeah,
the age of that.
yeah.
It brings you back to it.
Because
And
we're a
you
little
know,
bit older,
back
Mo,
then,
just a little bit. We're just a little bit older,
yeah, well, I mean, you're probably
just
a
a
lot
little
younger
bit.
than
Yeah,
I am. I'm sure you are actually. But yeah, definitely. And then there's the tangible kind of tactile aspect of
yeah.
it, and be
It
able to,
is.
the artwork is a whole thing. And
Oh,
then
I
knowing
love
who's
that.
playing
Yeah,
everything, and who wrote it, and all that,
yeah.
it's really important.
It is. It's so important. Although it sounds like it's going to be an incredible campaign that you're going to be spearheading.
Thank you.
Obviously, the COVID has kind of put it on hold a little bit, but, you know, remind us again of when this song, which we're just about to hear with Kegma, when it's going to be released.
Yes. March 16th. March
Fantastic. So
16th.
look out
Yes,
for that.
yes, yes.
And it's called We Are One. But it's a
Mhm.
pleasure to speak to you, Mo. But what we're going to do now, we're going to have the wonderful pleasure of listening to your lovely song. So we'll say goodbye for the moment, and then we'll allow you to get set up, and we'll come back to you in just a minute.
Looking forward to it, Monica.
Thank you.